Hi anybody, welcome into the channel, JaysBucket. I'm Jay, and as always, hanging out with my building buddy Jay whenever I'm down here in the Lego room. Today, he's holding a ball, because we will not be talking about Lego today. We are talking about Bakugans. Alright, welcome in, and I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this video are probably like, what in the world are Bakugan even? Well, Bakugan are tiny little balls, essentially, that are, I don't know, I'm actually really amazed by these. These are tiny little balls, essentially, that made of plastic and springs and whatnot, and there's a little magnet in them. When you bring them into a metal surface, they open up into these crazy little creatures that can be so many different things. And essentially, you battle with these with your friends or your family or whatever you want. And yeah, they're just I've just always been so amazed at how they can get whatever character they can think of into this tiny little ball. So today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite Bakugan that I own. And just like anything else in life, I've been known to just miss a fad or, you know, the latest craze or whatever. So Bakugan's kind of been dead for a little bit here. And I don't think it would be, you know, right if I did this in the hype of it. So now that Bakugan's pretty much done and over with, let's go ahead and review my top 10 favorite Bakugan. Alright, coming in at number 10. Alright, we got probably the rarest Bakugan I own. And you would maybe think like, well, Jay, wouldn't that put that in, you know, maybe top 3 or something like that? It's not the case with this one. So with Bakugan, there are different factions, depending on the color of the Bakugan. So this one you'll notice is kind of like a clear Bakugan. So this one is a very rare Bakugan called a diamond. And yeah, each diamond kind of comes in its own color as well. There, I believe, is 6 colors. There is red being Pyros, blue being Aquos, green being Ventus, white being Heos, kind of like a gold being Aurelius, and I actually can't remember the 6th one. Oh, the black one, which I cannot remember for the life of me. Sorry about that. But yeah, so this one is a Diamond Heos Pegatrix Ultra. So this is the reason I would think that Mrs. Bucket doesn't like Bakugans. When I first got into Bakugan, I would scour the stores looking for these things, and Mrs. Bucket just never really liked them. She's not a boy. She doesn't like playing with balls. Keep your mind out of the gutter. But anyhow, yeah, she never really liked the idea of Bakugan, and I don't know, I did. So we got Diamond Pegatrix Ultra. So this thing opens up into like a unicorn style type thing, and this is legitimately, I think, one of the rare Bakugans out there. Now, what I really liked about these is how compact they can make these characters, and they just pop out of these balls. The thing I don't like with Pegatrix is you've gotta, once you get it out of its ball form, you gotta pop out like its horn, okay? And then you gotta pop open its wings. And then these pop out, and then it becomes even larger. Well, we're not done there. We got to pop out all of its feet. All 4 of its feet kind of swing down as well. And I get it. This is, you know, added extra details for it. But in the sense, like, when you're in a battle with your opponent and you're rolling these things, you don't want to have to sit there and roll it. It opens up and it's like, oh, that's the cool part about it. You don't want to have to then take it and, oh, give me 10 seconds. I gotta open its feet, open its wings, open its horn. All right, now I'm ready to go. I don't know. Personally, I don't love that. So that's why this one is so low on the list. But I scoured stores to find this thing, and I was honestly probably one of the most excited I've been after finding a specific Bakugan was finding this Pegatrix because it was in its diamond version. But once I got it home, opened it up, started playing with it, I was almost immediately disappointed of how much you had to open up the extra pieces for this guy as well. So it's on the list in the top 10, but it's on the lowest position there. So there we go. That was number 10. Number 9. We're going to go to one of the oldest Bakugan I own that was ever made, probably, but not the oldest Bakugan I own, if that makes any sense. I'll explain that a little bit later on. But we got a B1, and a B1 just is kind of determined the size of the thing. So you'll notice this one is quite a bit smaller than this one. So B1 was like the very first version of the Bakugan, and when you roll them, they're pretty basic when they open up. But I do like this guy out of the couple B1s that I have because he's got quite a shell when he opens up there. He opens up. He's got some legs that come out the front. I have no clue what he is, but he opens up his entire shell from the top. He's got a little tail at the top there, and he closes up pretty basic. Like he just closes up real nice and basic, very smooth around his edges. So yeah, there we go. But yeah, probably one of the older living Bakugans that I own. And he was a B1 Ventus Stinglash. Quite the name for him. All right, so that was number 9. Number 8, we will move into a translucent, I believe this is a B2 because it is slightly bigger than the B1, but still smaller than the B3s, I guess these would be considered. But yeah, these are fairly basic as well. This guy you need to slowly roll if you want him to do what he's going to do properly. There we go. So I like getting this guy to stand up on the card because he is one of the ones that stands up by very little in the actual ball part of the Bakugan, and he opens up pretty nice and high. He's got kind of like a cyclone eye here, like, I don't know, also kind of looks like a machine gun in a way, but he's got a crazy jaw that opens up, some weird bat-looking wings, but yeah, he's this kind of the second generation of the Bakugan. Again, pretty basic, closes fairly easily as well, but yeah, I really like this one for how he kind of stands up when he's in that form. Now, when he's not on a magnet, he just falls right over. He does not stand up very well on his own without a magnet. There we go. So that is number 8. Okay, moving into number 7, we have Pyros Dragonoid Ultra B1000. Now this guy's ball form looks pretty cool. Like you can kind of see he's got some wings there. They're yellow, orangey. They kind of look gold on the camera, but they're not. They're more of an orange tint to them. And this guy actually, when I was really into Bakugan, there was a recently released video game for, I believe it was the Switch. And I purchased it, and you ended up getting this specific Bakugan with it. So I thought that was kind of neat. It was not necessarily rare, but you could only get it by getting the video game or buying it, secondhand. So I thought that was pretty neat. He's actually a very strong Bakugan in, power-wise. He apparently doesn't want to open, and I'm very bad at rolling him. There we go. We got a Pyros Dragonoid Ultra. Now, he does have some nice gold claws there at the bottom, so he does have a little bit of gold accent in there, but he's a pretty crazy looking dragon. He does have one little extremity that you need to pull up here, and that's his horn at the very top. So I don't love that about him, but other than that, because of his exclusivity, his coloring, especially when he's in his ball form, I think he's a pretty awesome looking dude. And yeah, I think again, the thing that amazes me with Bakugan is how they fit that character into a ball and are able to make it all open up into this form of a toy. I just think it's so crazy. But there we go. That's number 7. He's also very smooth in his ball form too. Number 6, Heos Serpentes Ultra. This one is a very, very crazy when he's opened up. He's got you'll notice with him, he's got a bunch of things that kind of stick out of the ball form. So he's got some kind of extremities there that stick out of the actual ball. Now, there was an old Bakugan that was called Altobrontes, and I guess it was one of the first ones that wasn't really a smooth ball form, and it had these kind of like knobs kind of sticking out. So after that Bakugan was released, any Bakugan that comes out that is not like a smooth ball form kind of has been condoned with the condition of having Altobrontes disease. So I think that's kind of funny, and this is the first one on the list that really kind of shows that those extra bits sticking out of the ball form. Surprisingly, sometimes it makes it really easy to roll because it only wants to roll in the one way, but then other times it does make it a little more difficult to roll. Now, we do have quite the gap here as well for where this guy's head kind of sticks out. And that's kind of... I really like the shape of this guy when he's out, but when he's in his ball form, it's not a great looking ball form. So he would be higher up on the list if his ball form looked a lot cooler. But when he pops out, he just has this really tall and wide stance. Like, can you believe that all of that came out from this little tiny ball? I don't know. This is what amazes me so much about these. Is just like, you got shoulder blades, you got his head just looks really, really cool. He's got a nice long tail. He's got pretty much like legs that stick out there. So yeah, I really like the shape of this guy in his character form. And another thing I like, when you close this guy up, his head's got to tuck in, his tail's got to tuck in, and I really like the look of when he's closed up here. Just how he's got that like kind of middle section. You can see how his head is tucked right in the middle of it there. I don't know, I really like when he's halfway closed up. It looks really, really cool. And some of the ways to actually close these guys are actually rather intense. Like, this guy's fairly basic. Well, not really, no. He's not basic, but he's fairly easy to close, even though he is one of the more intense ones. But just crazy how that ball, although it does have some, extra bits and knobs on the end, can turn into something that looks like that. So this guy is Heos Serpentes Ultra, coming in at number 6. Just love his wide stance. He looks really cool. All right, we're heading into the top 5 here. Number 5 is another Heos Ultra, but this guy is called Craculus. And he's got a really nice smooth ball form. The colors on him are pretty neat. And I'm kind of going with the exact opposite of what I said there, where this guy does have some gaps in his ball form, but you can see this guy's face peeking through right from the front there, and I think it's pretty neat. He's got like 6 eyes on him, and he's a kraken when he opens up, so he's pretty neat looking. Let's see if we can get him opened up here. There we go. This guy is just absolutely... he's just going everywhere. Like, I could imagine this thing coming up from the water and just being, just almost terrifying. Like, look at all of his things just kind of going everywhere. And he is actually rather tricky to close. And in one way, it's fun when they can be tricky. Some of these to close are like super annoying, but this guy, he's like just right in between tricky and annoying, that when you get him closed, you're kind of like, you feel accomplished, but you're not struggling there for like a minute or two trying to close this guy up. But yeah, very nice ball form, and just looks crazy when he pops out and into his character form. So there you go. Number 5, Heos Craculus Ultra. Put him in front there. All right. Number 4 is the only one I have in this kind of gold. It's called Aurelius. And he's an Aurelius Fangzor Ultra. He definitely has that Alto-Brontes disease where he's not a complete sphere. He's got some things sticking out there, and even a couple here at the back. And yeah, again, they sometimes make it easy to roll, but sometimes they make it want to turn different ways. But this guy is absolutely nuts when he comes out. He is one of those ones that just like completely spring open. And I think he's really neat when he's in his character form. He's huge. Like, this is probably one of the ones where they've really captured like just going long and tall, and really utilized all the space they could to maximize how big this guy gets. So he's a snake. His name is Fangzor, and yeah, he stands up fairly easily. Let's see if we can catch him in another roll here, but he also closes up super easily. Sometimes it's nice to just get one that closes up very easily, and you can be real quick with it. Let's see if we can show that. That spring action. Yeah, he just like springs right up. Now, unfortunately, when he hits the magnet, he comes in on his head. But sometimes what'll happen, actually, the olden days used to use these tiny little magnets. So these are little hexagon magnets, and they would have extra power-ups on them. What you would do, if I can hit a roll onto this, you'll see how the springy action really works. But it's going to be hard because I literally only have one. But yeah, he almost like will catch that thing and spring up and stand sometimes. Like, he's actually got quite the spring to him. So it makes him a really fun Bakugan. He's one of the first ones that I got. You almost need to roll him fast. But you got to literally hit there's one spot on here that can hit the magnet, and if you don't hit it, then he'll never open up. But yeah, there we go. We got Aurelius Fangzor Ultra coming in at number 4. Okay, so we are now into the top 3. And top 3 are, I don't know, obviously my 3 favorite. Now, number 3, this guy is called Ventus Trox Ultra. Definitely some Alto-Brontes disease going on here. He is not fully spherical. He's got some bits sticking out of him. But he was my first Bakugan that I ever got. And I can't even remember really how I heard about Bakugan. I think I may have just saw them at a store once and maybe picked one up. I brought him home to my son, and we were instantly hooked at the time. The other thing, Trox has a couple extremities. This is actually his arms, so you can maybe have a guess what he might end up being if you don't know. But he's another one where he springs open pretty good. Definitely want to be using him on these little hexagon pieces, but I'm going to do it on the card just to try and guarantee we hit. And there we go. So Trox ends up, if you get his little arms out, Trox ends up being a little T-Rex. And actually his tail sticks out a little bit more. But yeah, Trox is a little T-Rex, and his head is rather floppy, but his arms kind of stick out. Again, I don't love these aspects of it. I honestly never bring his arms out, so he normally would look like that. But Trox was my very first Bakugan ever, and is what got me hooked into the Bakugan phase of my life, which is pretty much now over. But I got to admit, after busting all of these out to play around with them again and get this top 10 going, might be back into them a little bit. I don't know. They're kind of fun. They're kind of fun. He's actually got a pretty neat mechanism too, where sometimes when you get them half closed, you need to like activate their magnet again in order to open them if you don't close them correctly. He's got a weird kind of mechanism where you got to fold his feet onto himself, and then you literally got to like reverse pull his legs all the way around, and then you lock his head in, but you also got to move his tail to lock his head, and then his tail also needs to fold in on itself in order to close, and then it's fully closed. Again, I can't express my amazement of how well these balls end up turning into other things, and I don't know, I just feel like it's a very neat thing to be able to have basically one size of a ball turn into so many different characters. There we go. Number 3, rounding out the top 3, Ventus Trox Ultra for my very first Bakugan ever. All right, now number 2 is a version of this one that I was using to kind of demonstrate the size with. But this one we have another diamond. Diamonds, again, are very rare. It's hard to find them. And this one, I was very, very excited when I found it. This Bakugan is probably my number 1 up until I found my number 1. So much so that I literally have 4 versions of the same Bakugan. Now that's probably not a lot compared to some collectors out there, but I don't have many doubles. Because you can get certain ones in different colors, obviously. But I don't have many doubles of the same Bakugan. I've only got a couple, and sometimes I didn't really have control over how we got those. But this guy is Diamond Ventus Webum Ultra. And he ends up being, I'm sure you can tell by the name, he ends up being a crazy spider that springs even more than some of these other guys. This one is so much fun. If you can hit that hexagon, I think it's called a Bakucore. Yeah, these ones just, I'll see if I can roll these other ones onto it. No, that was a bad roll. Nope, there you go. Yeah, these guys just spring right open. They look so crazy. I don't know. I love the way they look. Little spider. And he's really fun to close too. He's got a very, shell opens right up. Lots of legs, a little creepy crawly, lots of legs on him. But he closes up pretty fun. Like, you got to grab all of his legs together, stick his kind of end of his legs, his feet rather, down in together, and you got to hold it there pretty tightly. And then you literally just bring his shell up in and close him up on his legs. And then when you roll him, he just springs right open. I love this guy. He's so much fun. But yeah, in the different colors, he looks pretty cool. He's got one little piece where his little fangs kind of pop open there. But again, I usually don't open those types of pieces from him. Now, he's not a very strong Bakugan power-wise. So this would be the Ventus version without the diamond on top. And then we got an Aquos version as well. And I guess this would be the only one of the black and purple colors, which I can't remember the name of. But yeah, the diamond version, I was so excited when I found the diamond version of Webum. It was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I ran around to a few different stores to grab this guy as well. And again, I think this is one of the reasons why Mrs. Bucket just doesn't like Bakugan is I dragged her around so many stores looking for these children's toys for this adult child to play with. So there you go. There's number 2, Diamond Ventus Webum Ultra. All right, rounding out number 1 comes a very unique diamond as well. I only have this guy in the diamond version, and I don't even know what other colors he would come in, to be quite honest, but I really like, not only is it a diamond version, it's also he's also got gold all over him. So how can you go wrong with a diamond version with gold all over it? And you'll notice kind of this front blue striped kind of mask part. So this guy is named Diamond Feral, and that blue part opens up right to like this lion face for this Pharaoh Bakugan, and he opens right up. The gold kind of wings out the back. His little feet pop out at the bottom. He's got his little mask there at the front, and again, like, the face turns in. Oh, we gotta close his feet first. You turn his feet in, close his face, and then you can kind of close them up, and the wing parts just kind of lock them in there. But you can really see how that mask piece, when he opens up, the face just pops right into the mask, and it looks really cool. So yeah, this is my probably all-time favorite Bakugan. I think it's the gold that gets me, honestly. And, you know, the Egyptian style, it's a very unique one. And so there you go. There is my top 10 favorite Bakugan, rounded out by Diamond Pharaoh, Diamond Ventus Ultra Webum, and Ventus Trox Ultra. So there you go. Now, I don't expect many of my audience to even know what Bakugan are, but if you'd like, and you know, out of the 10 that I chose here, if you want to let me know what your favorite would have been, I have quite a few other Bakugan here. We kind of went a little overboard with them when we started collecting them, and there's some other great ones here, even some other diamonds. But yeah, other than that, that was my top 10. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. If you're new here and want to subscribe, I mostly do LEGO content, but sometimes we do these other random top 10 things. So there you go. Thank you for joining me. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate you. Have yourself a good rest of your day, and we will see you in the next one. Take care. Woo!